All right, here we go. Got our recording going. It is August 17th. So I haven't prepared anything in particular for this meeting. So we'll just kind of get in here and see who needs what and take it in that direction. Anybody got anything you want help with or talk about or anything before I talk about this? Anybody want anything before I get going? No particular directions. All right, so I wanted to share something on Alignable yesterday. I did a presentation and it was supposed to be I think a 30-minute presentation. And I completely forgot about it till yesterday morning. And I had not prepared anything for it. I had to go back and look at how they were promoting it and see what it was even supposed to be about. So that was pretty funny. I had about a half hour to prepare, and these, I don't know if you can't probably see this, but that was my notes I just scribbled out. And it was funny because I scribbled the notes out to like stay on track, because I usually, if I'm doing a presentation, I usually use a PowerPoint just to keep me in sync. And I always set it up just like I tell you guys. You start with grabbing attention, you take them through a process, creating demand and desire, and you make an offer at the end. So it's important that you know the beginning and the end always, because that's going to dictate what goes in the middle. You know, it's like you got a fish, you got the head and the tail and the backbone, and then you're going to fill the meat in on the bones as you go. So, but the interesting thing was, I knew my own stuff so well, I never even looked at this piece of paper once we started. Never even looked at it. I'm sitting here frantically scrambling this thing out a half hour before, so I could, not look like a fool and keep myself on track and all that stuff. And wound up, I didn't even need it. And that's the way you should be with your products and your services. You should know this stuff so well that you don't need the cheat sheet anymore. Now, I get that you're going to need it to begin with. We all do. And so many people are trying to put campaigns together, and they're not going in the order that we always talk about. They're jumping in different places, and the stories are not lining up. Like, it's great to tell stories, but a lot of you guys are good at telling stories. It's tying the story into where you want to take them, though. That's the important part. Like, how many times have you been talking to somebody and they're all over the place, and they're talking about stuff that makes no sense to the conversation? You don't want to be that person in a sales presentation. You need to create demand and desire for what you're offering at the end. So you always keep the end in mind. It's like everything should be with a purpose, because in business, people's time is valuable. You're going to find that when you're selling, especially if you're selling to other business owners, if you're selling to consumers, it's not so important. But if you're selling to other business owners, you'll find that they all have a common thread of freedom. And as you know, time is the biggest part of that freedom. It's not necessarily money. We can make all the money we want, but we can't make any more time. So they're very protective of their time. Their time, if they are worth their salt, their time will be more valuable than money. So keep that in mind and get right to the point. Always get right to it. Yes, you can tell stories to do it. A lot of times, if you're really good at the storytelling, they will see themselves in the story. We talk about this. You want them to see themselves as the hero, not you. You're not there to brag. You're not there to talk about you. You're there to talk about maybe you discovered something. and then you shared it with somebody, and then they got the superpower that you discovered you were able to get. That way they see themselves in the story as the hero. You're just helping them. So remember the whole Batman thing. You don't want to be Batman in the story. You want them to be Batman. You want to be Alfred. Alfred is like Batman's power. You know, Batman has this superpower because of Alfred. You know, Alfred's the one back whispering in his ear what to do. Where does Batman go for advice? Alfred. That's who you want to be. You want to be Alfred in the story. You want to be the one that is helping them get what they want so they can be the superhero. So always do that. And also, as you're going through your presentation, remember your funnel is your presentation, right? If you're going to get a sale, you have to present. Sales are not going to just fall from the sky. You've got to communicate your value. So big idea on the front to grab their attention is just the starting piece. That's just the cornerstone to get you started. There's a big job after that. And the big job starts with creating demand and desire. As you're doing that, you want to eliminate objections, because every time you say something, believe it or not, every claim you make on the way in your presentation is going to create objections, whether they're spoken or not. Like if you tell somebody they can get an outcome, the little voice in the back of their mind is going to say, no, I can't. No, I can't. No, I can't. It doesn't, it wants to sabotage. And it's there in all of us. Like how many times have you been being presented something and you're just thinking, yeah, this is bullshit. This doesn't work for me. You know, even though that's not true, maybe, but it's that little voice in your head, and all of your prospects are going to have that, every one of them, guaranteed. You can go back in history, the history of advertising, you can chase that all the way back to Benjamin Franklin. You know, he realized that the objections were the key. Eliminating the objections were the key to getting sales. Right? He knew if you couldn't eliminate the objection, you're done. And now the problem here is you've spent a bunch of your time presenting just to get a no. That's a big problem for people like us that value our time. If we're going to get a no, we want to know right up front. You know, it's just like I talk about businesses that fail. Forbes magazine says the average business will fail in 18 months, right? Do you want to take 18 months to fail? That's like, you know, if you're going to fall down, do you want to fall down at the top of a mountain that you're going to roll for the next 30 minutes and just get your ass kicked till you get to the bottom of the mountain? No, you want to fall on a pillow and get right back up and say, well, that was kind of cool. Let's do it again. You know, you don't want hard failure. The longer it takes, the worse it is. So Benjamin Franklin realized this, and he formulated a formula to eliminate all objections. It's what put him in the Marketers Hall of Fame. If you look him up, if you Google Benjamin Franklin and Marketers Hall of Fame, you'll see his famous ad about the wood-burning stove. And he admittedly was the worst product on the market. His wood-burning stove was the worst of all of them. Product was inferior, yet he outsold the competition like they weren't even there. He sold more of those things than anyone else because of his marketing, not because it was a better product. The better marketer is going to win, always. So I know most of you have heard the formula before. It's the claim proof benefit formula. Because what Benjamin Franklin realized was every objection is based on a belief. We all have them. Everyone does. We've got beliefs that are in us, whether they're right or wrong. And typically we will defend a belief until it's proven wrong. So what he wanted to do is he wanted to prove their belief wrong and invert the belief into his favor of making a sale. So he did it with a claim that was contrary to the belief. Like I use weight loss in this a lot, to use this as an example. Like, let's say your product is a weight loss product and you're telling your prospect about it. And in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. I saw Bob and Sally and Joe and Sue do that and it didn't work for them. They're still fat, right? They spent a bunch of money and they're still fat, right? And, you know, they might have tried it themselves and it didn't work. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The reason they believe that does not matter. The thing that matters is they believe it, and it's going to create a huge objection when you try and offer them your diet product, right? So the claim is opposite to that. If they don't believe it'll work for them, or they don't believe it works in general, whatever that belief is, the claim is just exactly opposite. This will work for you. Now, if you just leave it at that, that's just a claim, that's just an opinion, and it can become argumentative really quickly, and you don't want that. So you have to immediately follow that claim up with proof. That's not just you saying it. The proof is a third-party verification. It's like a validator that says, this is true. I'm just the deliverer of this bad news for you, right? It's not me saying this. And third-party validators really bring truth to it, bring facts to it. The thing is, if this person had the belief that was against you, and now all of a sudden that you prove that their belief is wrong, you prove that what you just said is right. Now, all of a sudden, since it's become a fact, it's no longer just your opinion. It's now a fact out on the table in the middle of you two. Most sane people, and I'm going to stress that, sane people, most sane people will not argue a fact. They'll argue opinions till their dying day, but they won't argue a fact because they don't want to look stupid. That's just the reality of it. So if you can cement this thing out, if you can cement your claim out as a fact, then all of a sudden you've done the heavy lifting of reversing the objection. And then you finalize it. You pull that through to the benefit. You bring it back around to the beginning of the whole thing. So it's claim, contrary to the belief, proof to turn that claim into a fact. And then now that it's a fact in your favor, you reattach the outcome of the benefit. So it's claim, proof, benefit. Just like that. That's how you eliminate objections. You know, I know Todd Brown, he talks about this when he talks about creating campaigns. He talks about looking at it as a court case. It's like you're in the court and you're trying to convince the jury of a verdict. The verdict is to purchase your product or your service, whatever it is. So you need to address all the concerns. You need to only talk about the things that matter to that outcome of that verdict. So if you're telling stories that are not in favor of a verdict for you, you're wasting time. You're losing opportunity. Your chance of a guilty verdict is going through the roof. You want an innocent verdict. You want to win. You don't want to go into a courtroom and lose. You don't want to go into a sales presentation and lose. So every step of the way, you should be reinforcing the fact that what you have is going to get them the benefit that they want, and be addressing and eliminating any objections that they may have. Keep in mind, they're not going to tell you what those objections are. You're going to have to know, especially in the online space where you're not face-to-face with them. If you're face-to-face, it's a lot easier because you can see their body language. You know if they're leaning forward, they're believing you already, so you don't have to belabor the facts. You just move on to the next point. But if they're leaning back and they're like, you can tell on their face if they think it's bullshit or not. Very easy to read their body language. And if you see that and you notice that, you need to address it like right now. You don't want to leave this spot. Don't just, pack your bag and move to the next point. You have to eliminate that objection. You might ask them a question. Or you might make a statement like, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Everybody thinks the same thing. They're thinking everybody I know has tried this and it didn't work for any of them. But here's the reason why this does. And again, you say this does work. Again, you're saying the exact opposite of what they think. And then you're going to throw the proof points in and you're going to tell them why. Like with the diet pill, it was the Garcinia cambogia. I don't know if you guys saw that ad campaign, but they'd been selling diet pills for years. And everybody knew it was bullshit. Everyone had tried it. It didn't work for anyone, right? It just flat didn't work. You don't just take a pill and go to sleep and wake up thin, right? That is bullshit. But they'd been pushing that and everybody fell for it because they wanted it so bad. They wanted it to be true. But then when they realized it wasn't, that's a pretty strong belief to overcome. So a very, very brilliant marketer came through with a new ad campaign to sell the same thing that doesn't work. And I do not want to encourage you guys to do this and sell stuff that doesn't work. But I'm telling you this to show you how impactful and how strong this concept is. So they came through with the new diet pill. And this one works because the active ingredient is Garcinia cambogia. Right? You guys probably heard that big wave of Garcinia cambogia this, Garcinia cambogia that. That sparked the diet pill sales just like a rocket. That was like putting fuel in a rocket and lighting that thing off. They sold a gazillion of them because they overcame the objection. They deleted the negative belief and turned it back positive in their favor. Now, this is something, and that is what's called a unique mechanism. And your big idea, like if you're going to go up to somebody that knows a diet pill doesn't work, your big idea has to overcome that right out of the gate, or you can't even move forward. So you're a grabber. False.
And then did it. Sorry.
No,
and then
you got to mute that one out. So your attention grabber has to address that right up front if you're in that situation. So remember, in the attention grabber, the big idea, the three pieces to the puzzle. It's the promise of losing weight. That's what they want to hear. But then you have to have a unique delivery mechanism that's going to deliver that result. That was the Garcinia cambogia. That was their unique delivery mechanism. And then you have to say it in a way that they've never heard it before. And I know the first Garcinia cambogia ad I saw was 3, and this was 3 proof points. Boom, 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 right back to back. It was 3 famous movie stars that needed to lose weight fast for a movie or they weren't going to get the script. Right? They were not going to get the role if they couldn't drop like 40 pounds in 2 weeks. And guess what did it for them? It was the Garcinia cambogia. Right? Now that might be just absolute, complete and utter bullshit. I don't know, but that was the ad campaign and it sold like crazy. And again, I don't want to encourage any of you guys to lie, cheat, and steal in your marketing, but people do it. And they do it because it works. So if you can tell your story in a truthful manner and use the same concepts, more power to you. That's what I want. I'm giving you the tools to do that, but I'm using examples that are extreme. So you get it, you get the mechanics. I'm reinforcing, how this works and how important it is and how powerful it is. So remember, when you're in the creating demand and desire phase, I always use the metaphor of seducing the heart and convincing the head. And here's why. I know you guys have probably heard this before, but I think this is important enough to come back and reinitiate it for you. So you seduce the heart with promise. And let me preface this with what the representation, I said this was a metaphor. The heart is your subconscious. We all have it. Every one of us walking around on this side of the grass has a subconscious. It is our driver. It's the thing that makes us do what we do. And then the head is the conscious mind. That's the part that's awake and thinking and keeping you from putting your hand in a fire, right? It says, no, no, don't do that. The heart wants warmth, but the head says, no, 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 that's going to burn us. The head is there to protect. Think of the heart and the head as a parent-child relationship. The heart is the child. Child doesn't really know. The child hasn't learned its life lessons yet. So the head is the parent. It's there to protect the child. Does not want the child to get hurt. But think of it, the heart is just like a child. It falls in love really fast and it doesn't care about the ramifications. It just wants what it wants and it doesn't care. It wants what it wants and it wants it now. It's not thinking about all the things that could happen if it does that. It just wants what it wants and it wants it now. There's no conscious to it. It is the subconscious, and it accepts and falls in love with promises instantly. So when you're making your promises, you are seducing the heart. You're getting the kid to throw a tantrum because he wants that thing. And now the head steps in the way. And that's where the objections live. And the job of the head is to protect the heart. It does not want the heart broken. That's why the head is immediately going to say, I don't believe that bullshit. No, we're not buying that. I don't want you broken. Right? I'm here to protect you. It's for your benefit that I say no. So that's what's going on in your presentation. You have to seduce the heart and at the same time convince the head. The head gets convinced with logic, reasoning, facts, not emotion. The emotion's all in the heart. That's the promise. So if you can learn to state those things in consecutive order before you move on, you will be like, your sales will go crazy. I guarantee it. You make the promise and immediately claim proof benefit to the objection. Immediately. It's not like you're waiting to the end of your presentation to deal with objections. You deal with them right now as they come. It's like a war. You've got all these little battles before the end. You don't want to sidestep all the battles and have them all at one time at the end, because chances are you might not get there. If you do that, you may not get to the end and have the chance to fight those battles. But if you knock them down as you go, your chances of moving to the next one is better and better and better. And then finally, you have seduced the heart all the way through. You've convinced the head. The only thing, before you give them your offer, the only thing standing in your way of a yes is going to be an objection. That's it. So if you've eliminated all those objections and you make your offer, you can have a crappy offer. I'm not encouraging any of you to build a crappy offer, but even if you did, it wouldn't matter. They're still going to take it. So if you take all these pieces and you just improve upon all of them, sometimes if you have a great offer, your middle section can be kind of weak. I'm not encouraging weakness in any step of this game, but I'm telling you, the stronger your pieces are, the more likely you'll still succeed if you have a weak spot in the chain. Right? Ultimately, I don't want any weak spots in your chain, but I know everyone has. It takes a while to work them out. And the object is to make sales while we're learning. You don't want to wait till you're a master to make your first dollar. You want to make your first dollar as you're fumbling. If you can make dollars while you're fumbling, think of what happens when you get your feet under you and you can actually run. You'll make a lot more dollars. So anyway, that was basically my thing, what I went through with them on Lineable. And it's like, people hear that stuff and it's like, no one talks about this stuff in marketing. When they're teaching you marketing, they're not talking about the reality of the process. They're not talking about the psychology of what's going on between the person's ears that you're speaking to. You need to understand that if you're going to be effective, if you're going to communicate your value effectively, you need to understand what they're going through, who they are, what they want, why they want it. That all falls back to the first step of analysis, creating your avatar. I know people look at that worksheet that I made and it's massive. It's overwhelming. You look at it and you're like, holy shit, I feel like I'm in school. I got to fill this whole thing out. It's like writing a term paper. But the thing about it is, you don't have to fill the whole thing out. I just put stuff down there as I was thinking. I was just throwing ideas out about what might be important. When you look at your avatar, none of that stuff might be relevant. You might look at my sheet and say, this is not relevant for me, but I understand. I need to find out what is relevant to my avatar. So that sheet, I don't want any of you to think that the worksheet that I gave you is the worksheet. It's a guide. And some of the stuff on it might be important to your avatar. Some of it might not. Like I have questions on there. Are they married? Are they divorced? Are they widowed? Like if somebody's widowed and you're trying to sell them something, how fresh they are widowed might make a difference. It might not, but it might, depending on what you're selling them. So you need to look at those questions and think, is this relevant to my situation and my avatar? The more you know about your avatar, the more clearly you'll be able to communicate. Kind of bouncing, I'm bouncing back and forth here because things keep coming to mind of what's important about these processes. When you're creating demand and desire, a lot of people get stuck on this. They're like, well, how do I do that? What do I say? How do I get someone to want what I have? And the best, easiest way that I know of to get somebody to want what you have is to tell them how it works. That's really easy in most cases. You tell them, hey, it does this, and that's why it does that. Like if they don't understand what you're selling and they don't know how it works, it's going to be hard for them to wrap their head around why they really want it, how that's going to get them what they want. If you're making the promise that your ABC product is going to get them their XYZ outcome, their desired outcome, and they don't understand the ABC product, the best thing you can do is tell them about it. Hey, here's how it works. Here's why it will get you that XYZ outcome. A lot of people don't understand that. You might be, I know a lot of you guys are in healthcare. In healthcare, the average person doesn't understand medical process, and you should not try and teach that to them. You do not want to take them in the weeds. You want to keep everything on a third grade level so they can understand it. Make it simple. Say, here's why it works. Here's how it works. Like you might have a workout procedure and, it looks like everyone else's workout procedure. But if you can explain to them in third grade level of what it's doing to their body and how that's going to help them get the outcome that they want, then you're doing your job. Maybe you talk to them about, we're going to work on your thigh muscles because your thigh muscle is the largest muscle in your body. And if we strengthen that, that's going to help. And I'm not saying this because I know this. I'm just throwing shit out here as a, as a guideline. So let's pretend that this thigh muscle is the biggest muscle in our body. And the bigger your muscles are, the more your metabolism speeds up and the faster you'll burn fat. So if they want to lose weight and belly fat is a concern to them, and you start telling them why you're recommending your program to build their thigh muscles, all of a sudden the thigh muscle now becomes the magic bullet. The thigh muscle is the thing that's going to deliver the result. It's your unique mechanism. My XYZ exercise is going to build those thigh muscles in 3 minutes a day, and that's going to just chew the fat right off your belly. Right? You're seducing the heart and convincing the head at the same time, almost in the same sentence. You see how that works? You see how that goes together? You need to think about what you're doing and how you can do that. How the thing that you give them is going to get them what they want, and explain it in 3rd grade level, right? Don't take them in the weeds. Don't start talking about medical terminology. Keep it simple. Like they know thigh. They don't know like what the actual muscles are called, and it doesn't matter. Keep it simple. Keep it to what they understand. This is why knowing your avatar is so important. Even if your avatar is highly technical, the 3rd grade level will make them not have to think. The more they have to think when they're going through your sales process, the less likely they are to purchase, because they're going to be confused. Even if they know the terminology, the simpler you can make it, the easier it is to understand, the faster they can get their head wrapped around it, the faster their head will allow the heart to have what it wants. Remember, the heart's where the desire is. The heart's going to want your product. And if you don't give it the promise and make it fall in love, the head's not even going to care. Head's not even going to pay attention. It's the screaming kid that gets your attention in the supermarket. The one that wants the candy bar, right? And the head has to go to work now to give them a reason why they can't have it, right? If the kid's silent, the kid's sleeping in the cart, the head just greases through the day. Doesn't have to work, right? You want to make the head work, but you want to convince it in an easy, quick way so it doesn't have to work hard. That makes sense. It's very, very powerful stuff. And broken down, I just broke it all down on a 3rd grade level for you guys. If I would have gone into like the psychological terminology of what was all going on in that conversation, you guys would have your eyes glassed over and I would have lost you 20 minutes ago. So it's important that you can convey your information on that 3rd grade level. So, and that's going to be some work for some of you. Some of you are not used to that. Like we go through, not we, some people, I can't put myself in this box, but some people will go through school and they will go through high education. And what's going on, the longer they're in the system, the longer they're tied inside of a box. And then when you're in a box, you get comfortable. We get comfortable wherever we are, whatever environment that we're in, we get comfortable in it. So if you're put inside a box and you don't really have to think for yourself, you don't have to fend for yourself while you're in that box. People are thinking for you. They're guiding you, they're teaching you, you're not doing it on your own. You're in the box, you're getting spoon-fed, and the people in the box are all talking in this way to try and impress the professor. So they're trying to talk as though everyone is in the weeds. And the only one that's going to get impressed with the weeds is the professor. No one else on the planet is going to be impressed with that. But you stay in this box and you're trained to do that day after day after day. So when you get out of the box and you encounter normal people, you're still doing it. And you're glassing their eyes over. You're literally hurting their brains. So And the more you do that, the less you will sell. You'll actually, like I talk about this, when you figure out your avatar and you create the languaging, it does two things. It not only attracts your ideal customer, it repels everyone else. And if you think about it, that's what you want to do. You don't want to talk to people that are not your customer. You don't want to waste your time talking to everyone. You want to repel the ones that you can't sell. By not doing that, that's like going through 18 months to learn that your business is going to fail, right? You don't want to spend 18 months figuring out something is going to fail. You want to do it fast. So if you can repel all the people that you already know are not going to be your customer and are just going to waste your time, your life is going to be a lot better. Think about it. Do you want to go through life talking to people you don't like, you don't want to like, and are never going to purchase your products and never going to be one of you? They're never going to be in your tribe. If you say yes to that, I'm just going to ask why. That's just crazy. We're put here on earth to be happy. You're not going to be happy unless you're with people you like. So if you can repel those right out of the gate, you know, and I know this is hard. If you're just getting started, you're like looking at every dollar as though, oh my God, this is my savior. Well, it might not be. It might be the wolf in sheep's clothing. You know, if you're taking on people just to make money that are going to make your life miserable, that's all it's going to do. It's just going to make your life miserable. You're living in a world of people. There's a handful of them that are really cool in your eyes. Those are the ones you want to hang out with. Forget the rest. Just let them be. Let them be miserable. How many people does anybody know somebody that's just absolutely miserable?
Nope.
I mean, do you want to go hang out with that person? They're absolutely fucking miserable. And in 5 minutes, they're going to make you miserable too. And that's the same thing with customers. You know, stay away from them. You don't need them. I don't care how much money they give you. If they make your life miserable, you know, do you want to have a lot of money and be miserable? You know, or do you want to have enough to make you happy and be happy? That's, you know, I don't like miserable people. You guys probably get that. So I do everything I possibly can to avoid them. You know, like I see, when I first got married, Barb worked at an insurance administrator, and she went to work every day, you know, and this was kind of a foreign concept for me, but it was what it was. And every day she would come home and I would listen to at least an hour of office politics and shit that just made her miserable. And, you know, I got that for a few years until she finally got laid off. And, you know, I mean, I didn't want to revel in that fact, but inside I'm like, yes. I'm like, yes, I don't have to listen to that shit anymore. And then like a week went by, and I see her, she's in the kitchen and she's looking through the newspaper. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing with a newspaper? And she said, I'm looking for a job. And I'm like, really? You've been miserable. The last couple of years, you've been absolutely miserable in that job. Do you actually want a job like that? And she's like, well, you know, don't I need a job? And I'm like, if you want a job, I got plenty for you to do. You can do all the shit I don't want to do, which is just about everything. So that was 30 years ago. So she's still doing all the stuff I don't want to do. She does all the billing, all the paperwork, all the stuff I just go yuck to. But the thing is, she doesn't have a whole office of politics to deal with. It's just her. She's in charge of that whole system. So she doesn't have to answer to anybody. She's a much happier person because of that. And she attracts happier people. You know, her friends now, they all do like yoga and walk on the beach and have fun. And, you know, not to say that there's not some family members that are not happy people, but you can't deal with that. But you do get to choose who your friends and your customers are. Can't choose family, but you can choose friends and customers. So
You gotta have a mix of everything.
as long as there's not evil in the mix, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like, I tend to treat that evil like cancer. Let's cut it out and be done with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so that, yeah, go ahead, Jim.
A quick question, and this is in the chat as well. You
Oh.
mentioned a summary sheet, and Linda helped out and said it's in the ACT program, but I'm wondering if, did you create a new sheet that's like a distillation of everything you talked about today?
No, what I was referring,
where is it?
yeah, what I was referring to was the workbook. And the workbook hasn't changed since day one. It's the same workbook, but specifically what I was referring to there was the avatar section of the workbook. So if you go into the workbook and you look at the avatar section, that's what I was referring to, is all those things that you fill out to describe your avatar. And there's a lot of them that, like I said, may or may not make sense. And there's some that I may not know about. So you can fill in the blanks on what's important to your avatar.
Gotcha. Thanks.
But yeah, there's no new sheets really in the workbook. There's not much that could ever really be changed about that. You know, if you think about it, the sales process hasn't changed in, you know, a couple hundred years since it was developed. It was like they developed it, they refined it, they got it locked in, and it hasn't really changed. The only thing that has changed as things have progressed, technology has changed. And what technology did as far as changing advertising and sales and marketing is just the delivery mechanism. Like advertising used to just be in print, you know, and then it went from print to radio, and then it went from radio to TV, and then it went from TV to the internet. And so it's just, technology is just changing the delivery, but the messaging hasn't changed. The way that we grab people's attention hasn't changed. It's been more defined. Like in the ACT program, I actually define it. I break down the pieces of what they do to grab attention, you know, like the promise, the unique delivery mechanism, the unique way to say it. That is a formula for how they grab attention. And that hasn't really changed since Benjamin Franklin days. It's just the delivery of how you get it out to your market. That's the only thing that's changed. So there's, like, all the time, there's new social media platforms, there's new traffic channels. That is all technological advancements that you can take advantage of only if you get your messaging right. Messaging for you guys is job one. Your messaging is your presentation. It's identifying who you're talking to, identifying what they need to hear, and putting that into a sequence that will take them from a position of pain. They don't have what they want, and guide them, show them the guiding light of getting what they want, and having your product be the thing that delivers that. And if you're not doing that, we get so caught up in our thing, whatever it is that is our thing that we're trying to sell. We get so caught up in our own thing that we can't think outside of that. And it's the outside of that thing that's so important. Like features and benefits. Everybody wants to talk about features. They want to talk about their thing. You know, whatever their thing is, they just want to talk about it. And nobody really cares. I know this sounds kind of crappy. They really don't care about your thing. All they care about is what your thing does and what it can do for them. So when you're talking about features, features are describing what your thing is. You know, that they're nothing more than descriptors of what it is. You're describing it, and you're wasting your breath because nobody cares. When you're talking about benefits, you're talking about what your thing does. That's what they do care about. That's what they need to hear. So throw the features out the window and focus on the benefits. And if you need to include your features, attach the benefit to every one of them. Like if you're going to say what it is, tell them why that's important, why they should care. And a perfect example of this is the guy, I forget his name. If somebody knows it, you know, throw it out. But it's the guy that did the famous infomercials out of Florida many, many, many years ago, decades ago. He was the guy that sold all the stuff on TV, the as seen on TV stuff.
Ron Popeil.
That's it. Appeal. Thank you, Chris. And the way this guy did it, he had a process that was absolutely brilliant. And most people would have scared the crap out of him to do what he did. And the reason it worked so well was he was the only one that had the balls to do it that way. He would take somebody that had a great product and they would not know how to market it. They would fumble over themselves all day long trying to describe why you would want their product, right? He would take that person and put them on TV. Like, that sounds like an absolute nightmare, right? Putting somebody that doesn't know how to speak on live TV to talk about and sell a product, right? That sounds like just an absolute nightmare. But Popeil, he brought him on, and he did it in such a confined, restricted manner that he got these people to sell their own products like absolute crazy. And he did it with a formula he called WizGat. So he would ask them, he'd bring the person on the TV show and he'd say, tell me about your product, right? And it didn't matter what they were going to say. It was not scripted. He didn't know, he had no idea what they were going to say. They would start talking about a feature and he would stop them. He'd say, okay, stop right there. And he'd WizGat them. WizGat is what is so good about that? WizGat. What is so good about that? And he was pulling the benefits out. Every time they would throw a feature out, he would immediately stop them, not let them go a step further, and he'd WizGat the shit out of them. And when they said, what's so good about that? He would ask it again till there was nothing left. When they would say, what's so good about that feature? He'd say, well, what's so good about that? And what's so good about that? And by the time he was done with this person, they were a professional salesperson. They would give the sales presentation of their life because he restricted it with WizGat. WizGat forces the benefits out. So whenever you're talking about a feature, you need to think WizGat. What's so good about that? Right? That's what you need to focus on. That's what you need to learn how to say in a third grade level. And if you can do that, you'll have people's attention, you'll have their ears, and you'll be creating demand and desire for your product. And if you do that effectively, you can get to the end and, you know, you can have just a weak offer or no offer at all. They'll still buy your stuff because they want it. They want it, and there's no reason for them not to. If you eliminate the objections, there's no reason for them to not buy it. right? How would you like that? How would you like a product where there was no reason not to buy it? Well, you can create that if you just identify the objections and eliminate them in your presentation. And I know this is a lot easier said than done. This sounds really simple, and it is. It is simple. It's a simple concept, but it's incredibly difficult to implement.
Hey, John,
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
a couple of points of clarification, if I may, and then I want to ask you about something in the workbook.
Sure.
The unique mechanism, it's my understanding, unless I'm incorrect, that what you're really saying there is that's the thing. As an example, if you have a guidebook or a process that roadmaps them to where they want to get, that's that unique mechanism, but you've got to explain it in a way that is real simple and easy for them to understand, where it connects the dots for them. Is that correct?
It's basically the name of your product. It's the
Okay.
name of the thing.
And how far do you go into, how far do you go with talking about what that thing is?
When
Just the name?
when you're talking about what it is, you're talking about features.
Okay,
So whenever you say a feature, you need to whiz-gat it.
okay, all right,
When you whiz-gat it, you automatically state the benefit of it. And
okay.
that's the most important part. You know, they might need to get just a brief idea of what it is, but that's not the important piece. It's what
Right.
it does.
Okay. And that's the first time you shared that with us. So that's awesome, because that's really easy to do when you think about it from what's so good about it, because I think all of us can talk about that real quick. So here's the other thing is,
Like I should sell a placard that's WizGat. Like you put that right on your computer while you're doing this work.
I already wrote it down. It's right next to the big promise and the unique mechanism and all that. But here's the problem I'm having is, you know, we go through, I'm looking at page 18, which of the booklet, and you've got the age, gender, lifestyle, relationship, all that stuff that you talked about. But when you're talking to a group of people, you might be able to have a range of ages, but there's not just like, okay, I'm talking all 25-year-olds. And so I know how 25-year-olds think, for example. So if your age group is a specific, like 40 to 60, and you know their education, and you know their relationship, and you know their income, or at least you can generalize, that's all great. But then it's really difficult to understand why somebody might object to something versus somebody else might object. So you're saying, you know, you got to answer all what you think can be the possible objections. Somebody might automatically go, well, that's too expensive. But that might be because of, like you said, their experience of things failing. So now they put that in a pot of anything over X dollars is too expensive for them.
Yeah, well, the whole thing of that's too expensive, that is an objection.
Okay.
That's all that is.
Okay.
That is a reason. Anytime there's a reason of why someone would say no, that is an objection. So if that is the objection and they say it's too expensive, and I've had this has been a common objection of myself, my own products. Like when I was selling ACT for $2,000, I had a woman come up to me after I did a live presentation on stage, and she really opened my eyes to this objection. And she told me, this is her exact words. She said, I absolutely love your product. I want it. I need it. I have to have it, but I can't. And I said, why? What's holding you back? And she said, my husband, after me spending all the money that I've spent on marketing stuff, if I came home with another $2,000 product, he would absolutely shit a brick. That's what she told me. She said, I would be in divorce court. And I asked her a simple question. I said, would he be upset if you were taking him on a very expensive vacation and paying for it? And she said, no, he wouldn't be upset about that at all. He'd be pretty happy about that. And I said, well, this is the only thing that's going to get you there. She turned around and bought it right there.
Hmm.
It's like, if you don't do this, that's what he wants, right? I turned it around on her, not what she wanted, but what does he want? Because she obviously wanted to please him,
Hmm.
right? She was doing everything she was doing to please him. And I got to the bottom of it with that simple question. She said, yes, he would absolutely love that. And I'm like, okay, we know how to please him. Now we just have to figure out how we're going to get there. I know the end of her timeline. I know what she desires. And I put my product in the path of getting her what she wanted.
Hmm.
So, and then I also eliminated the objection. I also gave her a risk reversal. I said, look, when you go home, I don't want you to hide this from him. I want you to tell him what you bought. And if he doesn't understand it, let's get on a Zoom call so I can explain it to him. And beyond that, I said, if he's still in disagreement, I'll just give you your money back.
Take away
30-day money back guarantee here. So there's no risk on your part. The only thing you're risking is your chance at success.
Mhm.
That's the only thing you're risking here by saying no.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And then the last question I have real quick, I saw an email about the Kartra training video that you did for Chris McLean.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope I said his last name correctly. But I don't know where to go to get it now.
Oh, well, that's easy.
I want to study that today.
Let me just show you. So if you go into the ACT program, normally you come in and you're at the home base. If you go under resources,
Resources.
there's a Kartra training tab right there.
I see that.
When you click on that, it's all in one single page. So that's all you have to find is that Kartra training tab. At the top, Chris actually made this with a program called Guru where he outlined. Remember when I was talking about this, I said, I'm not going to build this from an outline. I'm going to build this and then you make the outline after I'm done.
Okay, so it says the blueprint to selling a digital course.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's basically what this is. So it starts off with an opt-in, and they opt in for the lead magnet, which is delivered on the thank you page. And then they're automatically invited to a webinar page that explains the product. This is just the first piece. And then there's a follow-up sequence of emails continuing them to bring them back here until they've consumed this video. On this page, there's a hidden order button that doesn't show up, or it won't show up until we get to a certain point in the video. He's still working on his video, so we don't know how long to hide the button. So that piece isn't quite done yet. But once they get to the point of the presentation is there and the offer is being made, they click the button and they go here to the sales page where the order form lives. And then they order that. They're taken to a thank you page, which in our case is a membership site. So they're automatically enrolled in the membership site to deliver the content. And then an email sequence follows it up with how to consume the content. Because he has a long-term ongoing program. He'll probably have a year's worth of emails to be delivered for somebody that signs up to the program.
Okay, so we just study these series of videos.
Yeah, so each one, it's broken down into 11 videos that walk step by step through the process.
Okay.
The first one is the overview, and it's as short as what I just said. It basically just tells you what this thing is and how it works. So that's just an intro overview. And then we get into the meat and potatoes of how to actually set your Kartra account up from scratch. Like how to create your custom domain so you can have these pages hosted on your own domain website. And then, setting up your lists and your tags.
Got it.
That way you can keep everything organized. And then we set up a help desk, and help desk is a one-time thing. Once that's set up, you can use that for all of your campaigns.
Okay.
Same thing with the calendar. We set the calendar up for scheduling because part of his process is doing some consulting and some scheduling. So we set that up. And then we went into products. We actually set the product up in here. Then we set the membership site up. And then we kind of stepped back and created our opt-in pages now to opt in to start the process. Our thank you pages, our forms. You have to have the form as the mechanism on those pages to get the data in. And then we went to the sales page.
And that last page, you got to change the best deal to best deal. The last video,
Oh, this one here.
90-day Kartra offer in parentheses, best deal.
Oh, gotcha. Did I do that on the top one too?
No, top one's okay. The other one's okay.
Okay, got it. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes, sir.
All right, so the last one is the follow-up sequence of how to create a follow-up sequence to send auto response emails to them. So it's pretty much the whole thing. There's a lot of training in each one of these, not only for how to do it, but why I do it the way I do it.
Got it. Thank you.
I do things, differently than the trainers at Kartra. The trainers at Kartra know the program. They know how the program works, but what I know is how to use it in business. So when I'm setting it up, I'm telling you, okay, I'm doing it this way because of this. I'm basically like, I should come up with an acronym for that, like a WizGat. I'm WizGatting the shit out of it for you. So pretty cool stuff. While we're here, I wanted to show you something that Perry Belcher has been doing very effectively. And Randy, you just connected the dots for me, how I could make an absolute shitload of money following Perry's system.
Do I get to have a little?
Absolutely. So what he does these laminated cheat sheets. So for everything he does, like he did a copywriting one, like copy my copy style with my laminated cheat sheets. Well, here he's showing how to do email. And this is particularly interesting to me right now because of our leads program.
I'm going to do one. I have one here. I'm going to map out my process and hand each step of the process out, not giving away everything, but as a giveaway.
So what he does here is he says, gets yours free. And it's these laminated cheat sheets. He'll give you, and I haven't checked this out yet, but I bet you if we click this button, he's going to say, I'll give you the downloaded version for free, but if you want me to ship them to you, I'll actually ship you the laminated things for, $14.95 or whatever. Pay the shipping.
Yeah.
Let's see if he does that. Claim yours while supply lasts. Yeah, $6.95.
Yep.
So you're getting them for $6.95. And actually he's got no way, he says, and get the instant digital access. There's no way to get the digital access without this. You can't uncheck that. So the free thing is $6.95. There is no free thing here with Perry. So he's going to send you these. And once you pay the $6.95, I guarantee you, he has an offer right there on the back end on the thank you page to either do a digital event where he shows you and he walks you through this. I bet you it's like $297. And then he probably has an upsell to that offer of for $497, you can come to my live event in Las Vegas and you get the digital and you get the whole thing. You get everything. I bet you that is his sequence.
Makes sense.
He's very predictable. But what I thought is I could do the same thing. Like when I told you I should make a placard with WizGat and you put it on your computer. And then I'm realizing, holy shit, I could do the same thing just exactly like what he's doing here. These cheat sheets, I could do one of those for the attention grabber, the big idea formula. I could do one for overcoming objections. I could do one for three-dimensionalizing benefits. I could basically take the whole ACT program and break it into, 6 to 12 of these cheat sheets
Yep.
and sell that for $6.95.
Yep.
And then say, yeah, if you want the ACT program, it's X amount. If you want to come to a live event, I could do the same thing.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. So, and this is something most anybody could do. If you're selling a digital course, like Chris could do this very easily. This could be a great lead magnet for anybody that's doing a digital course, is just take your main key points of how your program works and make the cheat sheets and put them in there as a free giveaway. And, by the way, I'll send them to you for just $6.95. You don't have to send them. I know some of you, here it is. Here's a perfect example. I just told you to do something which is going to create an objection. You're like, oh shit, I don't want to ship stuff, right? I don't want to be going to the post office. That's not worth my time, right? So out of that, I realized an objection just came up. I'm going to eliminate it for you. There are fulfillment companies.
Yep.
The $6.95 thing they'll probably do for $2. So you can eliminate all the work, get all the upside benefit, keep all the profit yourself, and have mailbox money. So I just took an objection, made a claim, proof, benefit. Right? The claim was you don't have to do it. You don't have to do that work that you don't want to do. I understand that's the objection. That's a claim. You go, yeah, right. And then I told you the proof is the fulfillment center. They do this for everyone else. I'm using social proof. They do it for everyone else. You can't argue that. You can't say, no, they don't. They do. It's a fact. So I just inverted your belief from a no to a yes. And then I attached it to the benefit of you do none of the work, you get all the money, and it's mailbox money.
So another way of saying you're dealing with their objections is you're dealing with the excuses really of why they wouldn't do something.
Exactly.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, that is all an objection is. It's a reason they're going to say why. And like when you get good at it, like I wasn't good at this originally. This was not something I came out of the womb with. I had to learn this. And now that I have learned it, I just think this way. And now that I'm actually teaching it, the longer I teach it, the actual better I get at it. And that's why, like here, I can show you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. It's just almost like second nature to me at this point. And that's why I can explain it. And the more I explain it, I think the more you get it. Right? Like I'm not just doing it, I'm telling you what I'm doing. That's like the benefit to my Kartra training over other Kartra trainings. They're just showing you what to do. I'm showing you why. I'm showing you the how and the why.
Well, you're also able to explain in a way where we slowly but surely we simmer on it, and it starts to make sense. Because when this first started out, when I first started going through this with you, it was like very difficult to understand. But yeah, replaying it, hearing it, replaying it, and you coming from different angles to say the same thing, really, it's like this whole what's so good about that thing. I mean, that's one reason just to be on the call today, just that.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I guarantee you've heard me say that before. You just weren't ready for it. It's like you can only take in so much information at a time. I guarantee you, I have way more information that you can take in a single sitting. So what happens is you get pieces, and then those become memory. Those become, they're just part of you. And now you're ready to hear the next thing. So I guarantee you've heard the WSGAT at least 3 times. It just, you didn't have the capacity to take it in and focus on it.
Yeah, just thinking about thinking about what we do, and when we're talking to people, it's just automatically you're gonna think, okay, I got to tell this person what's so good about this point here. What's so good about this benefit? I mean, that's so easy.
Yeah, and as you do it, you won't think about it anymore. You'll just do it. It'll just become part of a muscle memory. You know, it's like when we're born, we don't know how to walk, right? And the idea of walking is an overwhelming thing, because I think somebody told me, I don't know if this is true, but somebody told me that there are 64 muscles that all have to fire in simultaneous harmony for you to take a single step. 64 muscles. You consciously are not capable of the thought process to think about 64 systems all at one time without losing your mind. The human mind can think about maybe 4 or 5 before it starts to lose it. So what happens is the baby doesn't know how to walk, doesn't know how to get up, it doesn't even know how to roll over, but it wants to. So it starts trying things, it starts moving, it starts like, it's like a worm. It realizes, oh, if I do this, then that happens. And if I do this, and it's layering on muscle memory. And as soon as it figures out how to roll, right? It might take it a day, 2 days to figure out how to roll. But once it's rolled, you can put it on its back again and it'll roll right over. Boom, just like that, because it's a muscle memory. It never has to think about it again. So it's rolling now and it's thinking about what's next. I need to roll and lift. And once it does that, it'll never have to think about it again. And then it'll roll and lift and kneel, and it'll never have to think about that again. And pretty soon that little dude's up on his feet. And now you got a real problem.
So let me ask one final question, because my brain is roasting. Is it, if you're presenting and then you're filtering in and getting to your offer and you're explaining, let's say, what's so good about that, is it a good idea maybe for practice purposes to say, hey, let me share what's so good about this, what's so great about that?
Oh, sure. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. All right.
That's no problem at all. You probably, I'll tell you, you're only doing it for yourself. And
That's what I mean, to train.
Yeah.
me.
But that won't throw your process off at all. That
Okay.
will not look like any kind of weakness.
Okay.
It will not show any kind of weakness whatsoever. It'll just be part of your learning process.
Okay. All right.
Won't
Nice.
hurt you at all.
I didn't want to step in any quicksand if I.
No, not at all. So it's, but that muscle memory, it's really strong. It's really powerful. That's where your subconscious is far more powerful than your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is your like right now upfront brain power, and it's weak. It can only focus on a couple things at a time. And that's it. That is its capability. But your subconscious is like the internal computer system. Once it learns something, it never has to learn it again. It never has to think about it again. It's just like a robot. That's like they say, once you learn to ride a bike, you could put that bike away for 30 years and you can get back on it and you just ride it. It's muscle memory. And it never forgets. Your internal systems are as the most incredible machine on earth. The way we learn, the capacity to internalize things and increase our growth level is unbelievable. It's unimaginable. It's just most people waste it. They don't recognize it. They don't utilize it. And they don't do the stuff over enough to internalize that muscle memory. It's like when you want to walk, you want it bad. You do it over and over and over. Your whole purpose in life is to get up on your feet, and you work your ass off for it, and you'll never have to think about it again. When people get elderly and they start falling down, do you know why? There's a single focused reason on why an elderly person falls. You know what it is?
No, I'm listening.
They start thinking about it. And you are not capable. Your brain is not capable of thinking about walking. 64 muscles firing in unison. You're not capable of even walking if it was up to your conscious brain. That's how limited in capacity it is. And they start looking at their feet, looking at the floor, and boom, now they're on the floor because they can't do it. You've got to let the machine run. You have to trust in the machine to run so you can operate. And when they lose that faith and they start thinking about it, they're going down. Guaranteed. So think about that when you get to that age. Don't think about it. Just do it. Or you're going down and you'll be thinking, God damn it, he was right.
Drop Nike, just do it.
Oh, that's
Well,
all.
John, I got a couple of questions.
Okay, go ahead, Rashid.
The first one is that's simple and short. I had back when I had stopped getting the $2 leads. I want to renew it. How would I go about it? Where would I?
Oh, that's Mr. Brady. Mr. Brady can
Yeah,
read your campaign. Pretty soon. I'm not sure the exact date, but pretty soon we'll be out of the beta version. We'll actually be into our live version, and then you'll have total control. You can pause your campaigns. You can start them back up. We're just not quite there yet. So for the time being, we've got our godsend here, Brady, that takes care of all that stuff for us.
right. And I want to change the campaign because the first one that I was doing was different than what I'm fixing to do now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to put in the new search criteria and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And he's on here. Let's ask him. Brady, do you want
I see him.
email you or?
I'm here. I can I think I have your alignable profile still, Rashid. I can send you over my email. Send me over an email.
Okay.
We can either hop on Zoom and do it together, or I can give you some search criteria you can fill out for me, and I can do it for you while we're still in beta.
That's probably easier. Probably easier that way.
I'm in the process of making like an Excel sheet that people can fill out, so it's a little bit easier. I won't have to do it very long or very much longer because, like John said, we'll be out of beta test phase. You guys can do it on your own, so no big deal.
Yeah, then we'll go into training mode and we'll create the training to show you how to do all those steps and all that. So.
Yep.
Hey, John, if you've got an event, and I'm using this as an example, if you've got an event and you want to give it to somebody who's not a digital person, how would you take that and create it? Because it's in Kartra as a landing page. How would you create that so that you could hand somebody something tangible rather than have them click a link? Because I've been asked to produce something like that. Is there an easy way to do that?
So are you talking about a digital course?
No, this is just the landing page, the information that allows them to see what's going to be in there.
Okay, I believe that in the old world was called a postcard.
So just just take it and transfer it over.
Yeah, that's just printed material. If you've got people that are in that category, I can almost guarantee you they're of a certain age group.
Yeah, I don't know this one particular lady, but yeah.
And also, here's another thing to think about. I talked about this extensively on the beginning of this call. Is that really the right person for you? Do you really want to deal with that frustration? Is that the ideal customer for you?
No.
Then I wouldn't do anything at all. I would just say, our program is strictly digital. So when you get to that point, we're here for you. But we just don't handle that level. So it might sound mean, but it's not. It's self-preservation for you.
Yeah, I didn't want to go. I thought this day and age it was unusual.
It is, yeah, it is, and it's not really something that you want to deal with. So, Rashid, did you have more?
Yeah, and before I get into that, I want to kind of put it into context so it doesn't seem like a weird question. Coming from Mr. Weirdo, you can expect a weird question.
You're embracing your weirdo.
I know you're marketing this as a marketing program, but what you're really offering is a way for people to prosper and acquire freedom.
Yeah, ultimately,
That's
that's the desired
right.
outcome of any of my customers is freedom.
Okay. And so everything else is just a tool to get there.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Like if you want freedom in business, I position that as the ACT program is the unique mechanism to get that for you.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of work. It's not a snap your fingers and get there, but
Right.
without it, I can almost guarantee you're not going to get there
Right.
unless you
So
spend a tremendous amount of money and just hire somebody that knows what they're doing.
I want to use that as a context to my question so
Okay.
that it doesn't seem. Do you know who Randy Gage is?
Nope.
Okay. He is a prosperity guru. I mean, the guy went from a homeless, drug addict, a teenager from having FU money.
Okay.
But he was talking to an author, Carol somebody, who just came out with a book called You Own Nothing.
Okay.
And they were talking about something that I had heard you say. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
I've actually said that in two different contexts before. There's two contexts for that.
Okay.
So one context is in the crypto world. The new financial system that's forming, they want to cut out the middle class. They want to have the ultra wealthy and then the poor. And what they're saying is, from the ultra wealthy, they're speaking this to the others. They'll say, you will have nothing and you'll like it. And the context behind that is because the thing that's going to make them want nothing and like it is because they're going to make the taxes so high on ownership that they will be happy to not own it and they'll like it. So that's the context behind it in that way. Now, you might have heard me say it in my own context as far as wealth management and asset protection. Like in my case, I don't own anything like houses, boats, all that stuff. It's all owned by corporations for asset protection and tax liability. Like me personally, I make very little money. I get a payroll check. My wife gets a payroll check from our company, but the company, most of the money goes into the company, not to us personally, because personally, we would pay the highest tax rate on it personally. So we get enough to get by and we pay our taxes and everything is cool. But like, let's say we want a car. Let's say the car is $80,000, right? If I purchase the car personally, that car is going to cost me $120,000 because I'm buying it after I've paid tax. My company can buy that same car for $80,000. And that the money is removed from the cash balance of the company, and the company only pays tax on profit left over at the end of the year. So the car now is $80,000 instead of $120,000. So my buying power as a person is exponentially higher because I set things up that way. And I don't want to own them because I don't want the tax liability. I want that over on the company side.
Right. And then the company usually did an expenses lowering their tax, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I think these people were talking about in the context that you mentioned first.
Yeah,
To where the kind of a programming of the masses
Yeah.
of
that's what's coming, and they are preceding and pre-programming that. And I believe the way they're going to do it is with carbon credits. Like everything, instead of paying regular taxes, because they know they're not going to get away with that, they're going to apply a carbon credit base thing where you have to have so many carbon credits to make purchases. Like if you purchase a house, you'll have to have so many carbon credits. And if you run an air conditioner, you'll have to have so many carbon credits to cover your pollution that you're putting into the environment. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous what they're talking about, but I can see it as being a reality in our future very soon.
Hey, John,
Don't like it, but yeah, go ahead.
are you buying those carbon credits from Al Gore?
That's I don't know. I don't know about it, but
That was his big thing years ago, you know,
yeah.
those carbon credits. Huh,
The
interesting.
whole thing's just evil as all get up, but it's, you know, it is what it is. Unfortunately, we don't have too much say over it.
John, I'd love to ask a question. Is it, I'm thinking I'm selling this pain cream that when I did research on it, took away the pain of 75% of those who had untreatable shingles pain, you know, like they had an average of 5 years after shingles, and 75% of them got relief from this cream, but it's not 100%. And so what's so good about that? That's the problem, is I can't say it'll for sure take away your pain, because there's a 25% chance that it won't. So
That's okay. That is perfectly fine. 75% odds is good enough odds for most people to give something a try. I mean, that's almost like saying it's a sure thing without saying it's a sure thing. So in your case, the belief might be, oh, the doctors say there's no cure, right? That's the belief. Maybe they've had the pain so long and they've tried everything there is, and they just believe there is no cure, right? So that's going to create the objection to purchase your cream. So when your claim is there is a cure, or not, you can't say cure. You can say
Relief.
you can say your situation isn't hopeless. You know, you need to just figure out how to say that, how to package it, to basically say it's not true that there's no solution. And then you can say, in the case of this cream, 75% of people have found this to be true. That right there is enough that if it's painful enough and you have a 75% chance of having this work for you, that's good enough. And you're using the proof point that 75 people, this is social proof. This is not you saying it. You're not saying you get a 75% chance of healing. You're saying 75% of people
who tried
that have tried this eliminated their pain. You know, it's like Crest. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Crest, not 5 out of 5.
get it.
4 out of 5 is enough.
And it's only 4 out of 5 that the survey recommend that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
not 4 out of 5 dentists.
Yeah.
Only those they're surveyed.
exactly. And they were probably hand selected, but that's beside the point. But it's the messaging. All you're doing is you're getting someone to try something. You know, I don't know if you do a money back guarantee or not, but if you did, that's a risk reversal that would create an offer they couldn't refuse.
That sounds like a really good idea. I think I will offer a money back guarantee, because that way there
Well,
won't be unsatisfied customers.
yeah, what will happen if let's say you offer a money back guarantee and 1 out of 10 people want their money back, right?
Yeah.
you will probably sell 3 times more product than you would without the guarantee.
Uh-huh.
And because you've got 3 times more, you won't mind giving 1 out of 10 their money back. You'll be in such better sales condition than if you didn't, and you got so many less than that. You'll increase your sales to where you won't care. So hopefully that makes sense. But I'm telling you, this stuff works for everybody. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You could be selling wheatgrass or diet pills or pain cream or exercise equipment, Mercedes-Benz. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You're going to have objections, and you need to figure out how to craft your messaging to eliminate them. Claim proof benefit is the formula for that, no matter how you slice it. And the claim is always opposite to what they believe. The proof is always turning what you just said into a fact. And the benefit is their desired outcome. In your case, it's eliminating the pain they didn't think they could get rid of. I mean, is that worth a 75% chance? In most cases, hell yeah, especially if there's no downside. You eliminate the, the objection there by the risk reversal. So I believe you would sell a lot more if you positioned it that way.
Well, I certainly will do that, actually. I'm going to
That's awesome.
change my text, and I'm going to say, it doesn't work for everybody, but 75% of people who tried it found relief.
Yeah, just drop the first part off of that. It's not necessary that you say it does not work for everybody. You don't need to say that.
Okay.
Just say 75% of people that thought they could never get out, never eliminate their pain or something like that. So you want to focus on the 75% eliminated their pain.
Okay.
That is your primary target goal to communicate that.
Okay.
That should be up front, first and foremost. And thinking about it, I would just lead with that. I'd say 75% of people eliminated their shingles pain. And then I would put another tagline that said, even though they thought they never would.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
I just got to chew on them a little bit before I can spit them out. All right. Was that it, Helene?
Yes, that was it. And I was trying to write down what you had just said, because it's exactly what I need to say.
Perfect. All right, Rashid, I don't think we finished you off there. Or did we?
Well, that was my question, as wondering if you knew Randy Gage, and if you had read the book.
Oh,
Or Gwen says the book is called You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy.
oh, okay. All right.
And
Yeah.
so
If the question of me ever is, have you read the book? It would always be a no.
okay. So it doesn't make any sense to see if you would read it and give your opinion on it.
I went through my entire high school career never reading a book. And after high
That's why you're
this is no place.
that's why you're an entrepreneur. That's why you're an entrepreneur. You got somebody else to do your homework.
I can assimilate information very rapidly, but I'm not a fast reader.
Meaning I'm not a fast reader either.
Yeah. And for me, like the time freedom and knowing it's going to take a long time to read a book, they just don't mesh.
Yeah.
I can assimilate that information, and that would take me a week to read a book. I can assimilate that in 5 minutes by other means.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever wanted to know, I can find on YouTube
Yeah, that is very true.
at this point.
Yeah.
Man, if I had YouTube as a kid, I don't know what would happen. Think about that, having YouTube in your formative years. It's like these kids
Yeah.
now, they have an incredible advantage, and I don't know that they understand it.
No, they don't. They use it as a portable TV.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap up for today? I get everybody sufficiently answered and all of that.
Hey, John, I just got a quick question, and it might be kind of redundant from the email I had texted you a while back
Okay.
about the keywords for the beta testing with the client I've got.
Okay.
And we ran it through via zip codes. So it's all local zip codes because they're a local client.
Okay.
And I haven't been getting a lot of response back of hits with the keywords we're using. And I'm not sure if it's because it's scrunched down to being local or if it's
So you say
because of the keywords.
you're not getting a lot of results?
Correct.
Okay. So the way that the keywords in the lead program work very differently than in SEO. In SEO, you're trying to get the specific keyword that someone is searching for. And in the lead program, what it's doing with the data sets is it's looking for any combination of a keyword that includes the words in your phrase. Like if you just use one single word, it's going to grab any search phrase that has that word in it, which you don't want in most cases. If you use two words, it's going to grab any variation of the keyword that has both those words in the phrase. And if you use three, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to require all three of those words be included in the search phrase. But the cool thing about it is it gets you a tremendous amount of variation by doing that. So you don't have to have a ton of different keywords, all that are very, very similar like you do in SEO. Now, if you're not getting enough results, what that probably means is one of two things. Either the market isn't aware of the words and they're not searching for it. That could be one potential downside. The other one might be the search volume is so low on that particular set of words, you might just need to use more keyword phrases with the program. So one of the few things is going to probably be, if there's nobody searching, like if you're in a market that is completely unaware and they're not searching, then there's not really anything that anybody could do with it. But if it's just
Well, they should be searching because it's like payroll and HR.
Okay.
So we've got outsourcing HR, outsourcing human resources.
Yeah, but think about it too, if you're talking about zip codes and you've got only a small limited local area, there's probably a tremendous amount of people in there that are actually looking for that. That's not like a day-to-day thing. Like for instance,
Right.
my company, I might look for that once every 5 years. So it's not going to be a massive search volume. So you might need to you might just need to broaden the scope of what the keywords are. And unless that puts you out into a category of, not relevant, you don't want that. But
right.
HR services, I can tell you that like when I was looking, this was many years back, I was actually looking for something HR related and I didn't know what HR meant, because I'd never worked in a company. I never had any experience with that, but I was looking for something that ultimately was HR related, but I didn't know what to call it. So I was calling it something very different. And I don't even remember what it was at this point. I think I had to create an employee manual or something like that. And it fell under HR services, but I didn't know to look for it that way. So I was looking for stuff like, create an HR or create an employee manual. how to create an employee manual, and I was coming up with all the stuff that had to do with HR, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I didn't feel like I was in the right place, even though I was.
Uh-huh.
So understanding, what they might be looking for specifically might help you.
Okay, yeah, because I had suggested employee help with employees, and the client kind of nixed that, going, no, that might be too broad. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it might be because, I was looking specifically, like I needed an employee handbook.
Right.
I wasn't just looking for like help with employees. I needed exactly what I needed. So if you can figure out like what are all the specific pain points that somebody needs under that HR umbrella and add those in as keywords, you would probably get much more specific people that were more highly interested in actually making a purchase on something.
Okay. I will think about that and see if I can.
It comes down to just like in SEO, the longer tail the keyword, the closer they are to a buying decision.
Right.
So the more generic, they're just starting their search process. They're not educated yet. They're not ready to make a purchase. So I always like the ones that are like credit card in hand. They're ready to buy something, and they're using very, very specific search phrases. Now in the keyword program for the leads, we don't have the ability to do that because of the data sets. But what we do have is the ability to put in the main keywords we're focusing on and get every possible variation of it, which is awesome. So good stuff.
Okay, I will do more Google suggest and other stuff and try to think of pain points tied to those two.
You know what
Point.
I would do if I were you? I
What?
would pull up ChatGPT and say, what are the main topics under HR and what are the biggest things that people are searching for related to HR? And see what it
Okay.
say. And then I would use that.
You can also go in, use things either whether it's ChatGPT or get online and ask for synonyms for different words that ChatGPT comes up with, and just put as many synonyms as you can, because you got to limit it to, or you got to think about it. You don't know every single thought process that your customer has when they're online searching for something. So you're trying to identify anybody and everybody out there that might be searching for what you're looking for. You got to put it in their words, and you may not have every word that each prospective customer is going to have. So using something like what's a synonym, if you find a good keyword, what are the synonyms for a few of those words to actually add to your scope? And then from there, it's just like John's been talking about, just kind of narrowing it in and trying to find the words that are working for you.
I appreciate it. Good suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah.
John, you're a word magician, and I'm wondering if I could start, because you say you have to explain why this thing works. And I'd like to say, unlike all the other pain treatments, the mannitol and QR cream calms the angry nerves that are sending pain signals to the brain, and then talk about the research. Would that be something to?
You may not need to go that far though. Like you gotta try and keep them out of the weeds.
Oh yeah.
If you can use if you can use metaphors for things that people understand,
Yeah.
explain it in that way instead of going into research. And the only way I would reference research is if I would just do it generically, like 70% of the people got pain relief, that never thought they could because they'd tried everything.
Okay.
All the traditional ways, and 75% of people that tried everything and never thought there would be an answer got relief using this.
Okay.
You really keep it top level generic.
Yeah, but I want them to know why it works.
Well, you can do that when you deliver the product, but don't put that in the way of making a sale.
Okay,
because it's not about what you want. Nothing about what you want is important to your customer. The only thing that's important to them is getting rid of that pain. And the faster and easier you can do that for them, they don't need an education. You don't need to educate them on how this is happening. I talk about that when I'm talking about creating demand and desire. I'm talking about the only thing you need to tell them is how to apply it. Like, that's all they need to know. Like, do they rub it on once a day? Do they put it on before they go to bed and they wake up feeling good? That's third grade level. That's all they need to know. That's all they care about. They don't need to know how their body works and, all of that stuff.
okay. Okay, I'll forget about telling them how it works.
Yeah. I mean, you could split test it, but I can almost guarantee you're going to sell way more if you just keep it to exactly what they're interested in. Because nothing else really matters to them. Somebody in pain is not looking for, to go through an education before they get rid of the pain. They just want to get rid of it now. And they want to know how easy it's going to be to do that. Like, what do they have to do? And what they have to do doesn't mean they have to learn how it works. What they have to do is rub it on their shoulder or, apply it before going to bed, apply it twice a day, whatever that is. That's all they need to know. And the simpler and easier you can make it look, the more they're going to want it.
The problem is that if they have shingles, even a light touch is going to cause excruciating pain. And so what I do is I tell them to put it on saran wrap, plastic wrap, and then apply the plastic wrap to where they're having pain.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's all they have to do. And it does work very well.
Yeah, see, that's perfect. That's a perfect thing because you understand that that's going to be an objection. Rubbing something on them, if it's going to make them hurt, that's going to be an objection. So you can say, you can apply this without any pain by just simply smearing it on saran wrap and then just lightly covering and let it do its thing. No rubbing, no pain. You just put it on, apply it, go to bed, and wake up feeling good.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So understanding them is really the key in communicating. Tell them only what's important to them. That'll be the biggest favor you could do for them is just get them where they want to go as fast as you can get them there.
Okay, I'll put that in the Amazon listing somewhere.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, good stuff. All right, anybody else before we wrap up for the day? All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you all for coming on. Another great call. I never know where we're going once we start this up, but we always seem to cover some good ground. So that's awesome.
Thank you, John.
All right. Well, have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.
In Southern California or Baja, watch out for the hurricane coming. It's on its way.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
All
Have a
right.
great John.
We'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.